willing to, is I believe that increasing taxes should be a last resort, not a first option. I do believe it might be where we have no choice, where we have to. I believe we definitely need to consider other options, such as how to balance a budget without having to increase taxes. So, I also feel like whoever is elected should make sure they truly listen to their constituents. Should make sure not just to acknowledge them, but to truly listen to them and give them your undivided attention. They're being listened to but not truly heard. So again, my name is Mason Sims, and thank you all for coming out this evening.
I'm Andrew Wilson. I represent the Pickensville area now. Over to the little south of the racetrack and back over to the hospital, including that area and that sort of triangle there. Worked with anybody that I had to fix 183, and then I would focus on. As an engineer, my focus is going to gravitate towards the things I understand, which is the infrastructure type costs that we have as a community that makes our local community thrive the way that it does. So for my part, focusing on managing the roads meant that we needed not just to be able to fix the current roads, issues that had struggling. From 2016 to 2020, we didn't pave a single mile of road in the county. So the issues that happen when you don't go out there and maintain an asset like that, more expensive to fix it when you finally get around to it. So you can only kick the can down the road so far until somebody has to pick the can up. So coming onto the board, fully committed to fixing the roads, doing whatever it took, and that energy, I think, was received by the guys in the back of the room here. Davey and Rex have been critical in helping that opportunity that we had, and we grabbed that opportunity and ran with it. And the fact that we were able to helping with infrastructure across the community, that's a strong point I think I bring. Like Chris brings expertise in EMS, I think that I can add value there and have that value there. As you can see, decision that you have to make as a community between doing things we used to, which meant the roads decayed and problems were ignored, or the way we've been doing it recently, which is to go head on again and address issues that affect the community in a positive way.
So Roy, you actually get to take the first question, and Rick, there he is.
It's mine. I'll get off with the first question, try to start things. And some political circles, they call this the question. Is that too loud?
No, we're good.
Why are you running for county council?
Okay, cool. So it's amazing. I talked about this. The people that talked me into running, I called the guys from the Grumpy Old Men Club in the city of Liberty, who just said that I needed to run for county council. Okay, how long do I have? Got to talk a minute? 2 minutes. Okay, I'll talk fast. Those guys talked me into doing it, and then when I won, I went, holy cow, how do I do this job? And I'm thankful for the people that I surrounded myself with, and for the Association of Counties to teach me on the things that I needed to do. We were able to accomplish quite a bit in the first 4 years, and then in the past 3 years, we've done even more. The most important thing that I think that we've been working on is the development standard ordinance, because it hit pretty quick, faster than we anticipated. We saw the growth coming, and the next thing we know, it's here. So our work on the UDSO is partially done. When we put the brakes on, but there's still so much more that has to be done with that. And then as Councilor Wilson was talking about with the roads, there's still more work to be done that way. Again, I'll echo with the state, getting money from the State Infrastructure Bank is one of those once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, but I want to continue to work towards that. We still got Highway 8, we still got Highway 123. There's got to be ways that we can continue to work on how do we protect and preserve property rights while working towards the quality of life issues that we want to make sure that we protect and preserve. A lot of different issues, everything from, we had a conversation about litter, we've got economic development. There are a lot of things that we're going to continue to work on, but I'm just hopeful for the opportunity to continue. My big thing with the association, again, is how we work on annexation, creating a joint planning commission. What are the ideas that we can work on together to not just overcome the obstacles for today, but to plan for 40 to 50 years from now?
It's the same question?
Yeah, same question for everyone.
Okay. one reason I'm running is I feel like just because, same reason I'm in education, I want to make a difference. I feel like it's been very rewarding me being a teacher for the past year or so. We really need to focus on roads based on their damage, not their location. Those are state roads. And I feel like there's plenty of county roads that need attention. And when I was out canvassing around the Smithfields area, there were plenty of county roads. People expressed frustrations. It was a very rough ride going through there. So I feel like once elected, we need to take more attention to those roads, and not necessarily 123 and 183. And also, I feel like we also need to appoint county council has about 20 boards, approximately 20 boards they can appoint people to. Once I'm elected, I feel like we need to focus on appointing those that observe the true conservative values of Pickens County. I feel like it's the ones I've seen today that are not really conservative. And I feel like those are the values that we have. And also, I feel like we need to focus on, like, one thing was in 2021, there was a record high millage increase. And I feel like, the county government had like $23 million budget, and the federal government just...
Because of the last few statements that you just said. You said we had the largest millage increase, right? And that's a pretty hard-hitting comment in this community. Our road went up 300% in that time. So we weren't just falling behind a little bit. It wasn't like, hey, keep the lights off so we can pay to fix the road. We had to mix it. It's going to be $10,000 for a motor or buy a new car. So you can ignore your roads for so long. Solve problems. I want to live in a community where people solve problems. I want to fix roads. I don't want to run for office.
County council the first time around. I'm in healthcare, as I said earlier. I have a 13-year-old daughter. Her mother is a school teacher. When I was education, family business. So my two main focuses. We've had wonderful announcements. We have wonderful partners in the business community. We've added a small business person with our Alliance Pickens group, and that really is the reason I ran the first time. The second time was to continue the great work that we've done and we began doing. Things like making sure we had firemen in each of our fire departments so that our response times were cut drastically and dramatically, life safety issues, and those kinds of things. Was a big piece of that. It's true that we have to focus on where the need is, not just because of the location, and that's the reason why studies are being done and have been done now that we have the funding to do those kinds of things. So the reason that I have continued to run is because I like to serve the people. I like to see things go in the right direction. I like to make my community better. I want this to be a place my daughter wants to live, where my daughter wants to grow up, where my daughter wants to have her family. And I want this to be a place that we're all proud of. And that's really the reason that I continue to do what I do here in Pickens County.
Okay, raise your hand.
Raise your hands and Rick will come find you. Don't be shy, somebody.
Don't be bashful. Okay. Rick has a question.
I attended a time, there were several comments made about, well, Greenville County does it this way, and we have to copy the other counties. Why can't Pickens County be independent and do it the way the people really would rather have it done? And especially the emergency service developments we have in here, you couldn't get a pony cart.
I appreciate it for asking me what you're doing. If it happens to work for them and they're getting more positive results, than negative, not good, then don't go with it. Just, you gotta find what works best for you. It's just comparing to see what the results are. And just
Some of my most successful had solved the problem in a way that was timely for the conditions they were in at the time. Ways that I don't need to try because it wasn't successful for them. It's not going to be successful. Is necessary. because there's a lot of folks out there doing conversation about what would be right for our community. And we're struggling to come build neighborhoods. And so we got a lot of that over the last few years. So now we've got to respond in a way that helps match our infrastructure and the way that folks will live to the values of our community, which are small town, which are rural. For my part, I don't have all the answers, so I'm always going to be looking for other folks' solutions. And then, so for my part, we got to do it the way the Greenville folks do it. I've never even read. But what I will tell you is a good idea is a good idea no matter who it belongs to, no matter who gets it.
What is the norm for your area? I don't believe what always works in Greenville works in Pickens or Anderson or Oconee or Pickett County. It doesn't matter. But I do think you can learn by evidence-based practice. There's no reason to reinvent the wheel. There's also no reason to make the same as now, but where did they come from? And that's just part of the practice I do in my everyday life and my everyday job. Other counties and what other areas are doing, where does that fall within state or federal law? Because we can't supersede that, right? And as far as things like emergency vehicles and other things, first and foremost, I want to say, I put our EMS agency against anybody in the state doing what you're doing. But to your point, when you're blocking roads and this, that, and the other, they can't do their job. Taking the private property right at the exact same time. So it is a very fine balance.
These horrible challenges that we faced, because our UDSO was written 20 years ago, and at that time they were trying to encourage growth. We had a moratorium that lasted way over a year, so much so that we were getting calls saying, "Are you sure you can?" Many different listening opportunities to go around to different places throughout the county to hear what folks had to say. It was interesting. We listened to people up near the Clemson area, what they say, versus the folks down in Easley or the Dacusville, or even in my area with Liberty. But by setting up those corridors with the open space subdivisions so anywhere from 20% open space subdivision and half-acre lots all the way up to 50% open space subdivision and 2-acre lots, just a clear cut, put down a bunch of slabs, we think we put the brakes on that. Now we still have a lot more to go, which is why there's another moratorium. People get what they want us to do and hopefully make those decisions that will affect us, like Dr. Wilson said, not just today, but 40, 50 years from now. Because I too have 5 grandkids all under the age of 4, and I take care of them.
Any questions?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize we finished. Caught me off guard there for a second. Anybody, raise your hand. I'll be glad to bring you back and let you ask. I can't ask another one myself, but
y'all can't be sitting here and not have questions.
I'm gonna have to start calling on people.
For your vote.
I'll ask one, right?
sure. This would be the majority leader of the South Carolina House of Representatives, David Hyde. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Rick. If you could pick and choose a company coming to South Carolina, what would it be? Now, I'm not talking about names. I'm talking about characteristics. My guess, again, what would it be?
So I spent 10 years at Foundation Society, basically on the planet. Power plants, desalination plants, wind turbines. So I had the opportunity to kind of look at what the technical folks look like. Was that the area that I live in has some of the most skilled and capable human beings on the planet. Not a unique person on the planet. You go to India, that's not what you're going to find. We had to teach kids in India, guys with master's degree in engineering school, they co-opt, they went to school after being a professional manufacturer. Every job on our campus doesn't have to be manufacturing because you've got so much sophisticated automation out there that makes labor a little bit less expensive. But when you get skilled technicians to keep the equipment running, you get people that work at the plant to service the plant, you get the engineers my entire life because it brings nothing but wealth, prosperity, and opportunity, and educated folks that want to get engaged in their local community. I mean, that's a world-class manufacturer moving here with significantly impactful jobs.
Again, pretty obvious. I think Mr. Farley's done a great job of recruiting the kind of folks and I just got the name of the company. Oh my goodness. The kind of folks I want. The folks that, like I say, are all about what it is that she wants to do. So whether it's manufacturing or whether it's a skill we need in our county. The textile industry died many years ago, and when it did, there were a lot of jobs lost because the textile industry died. And that's one thing that I don't want to see happen in my lifetime. I don't want to see happen in my daughter's lifetime. The FNs and all the others that are bought into our school system, that are bought into our, I've got the Career Technology Center. The ones that want to support those organizations, putting in the machinery so that the Empower program with Tri-County Tech and the school district to up-train so that the skills can be learned.
Yeah, I'm actually going to echo a lot of that because I do think that we're one of the strong family values, conservative Christian values, and the story gets persuaded to try to come to Greenville until he met Ray. So just you know, but he said, guys, these are our kind of people. What are the people, what are the companies that project our values or at least adhere to our values? House Vesterville. He was with Air Contact. They do high-speed rail connectivity, and he's from Germany. He since has left that company, but he called me last week. His accent. But he said, I just love the people of Pickens County so much because how much you care about your the people who are there, your community. I work with a new company down here. We've got some great ideas with the right people. But it's because of those companies that want those kind of relationships, that share our values, that want to continue to see Pickens County do well and do right by the people who live here.
Just like Councilman Bauer said, yes, I mean, as far as bringing jobs back to the United States, and I feel like that's what we all want. Just like Chris mentioned, as Donald Trump mentioned, NAFTA was the worst trade deal in history. So I feel like we definitely need to bring manufacturers, just like we have now with Taylor Made and Kmart. I feel like we should continue to bring jobs like that to here to this county. So yes, they more companies create more jobs. So yes, I believe that as long as we get manufacturers that buy into our beliefs and values, then yes, I'm for bringing manufacturers to Pickens County.
Go ahead. Next question.
Go right here, introduce yourself, and ask the question.
Hello, gentlemen. My name is Laura Hinty. My question would be, what do you think the most important issue in the county is right now?
I've had the luxury of allowing everyone else to speak when I'm finished writing the question. So the most important issue in the county to me right now is obviously the issue. Everything else, every other issue, I truly believe, stems from that growth issue. Whether it be emergency services, whether it be roads, whether it be solid waste, whether it be a continued work that has already been done, discuss growth. It's one of the reasons I challenged the municipalities early on.
We believed it was going to happen, and then COVID hit, and all of a sudden we became the place to go to live, to work remotely. And next thing you know, it just begins to boom. And the work is still to do the moratoriums or not. It's still the Joint Planning Commission. I love that concept and idea. If we can create that, only because annexation really is still a big issue. Annexation in the sense that, and I didn't get to touch on it much before, so I'll do more of that now. We're trying to work with the House and Senate on, as far as legislation, what does that look like? And what I mean is, it's not that the county cares whether a city annexes or not. All county residents, as far as we're concerned. It is that we work together so that place to widen the road or to build the infrastructure, who's going to pay for that? And or when you guys, I asked a call the other day. If I don't know if that legislation exists. We got to figure out how to way through that. So annexation to me is a very important component to this, the whole growth aspect. I think that's the key, but it's the key in how we work together. But Chairman Bowers is right. Our landfill, what happens with our road.
So those of you that follow my website, actually, so basically what that is I feel like we need, one board I want to specifically address. There was a board meeting about a month or two ago, was to keep books, and we're in attendance at that county council meeting. I believe it was it contained a lot of extremely pornographic material. It should not be in the children's section at all. You know, a lot of people do address that is the library board's decision to watch over the as I mentioned in the, regardless if it's the current incumbent or whomever will be elected the next year, we just need to make sure that, so I'm a school teacher, and that's why this is really important to me. Actually, a lot of people, my campaign teachers are current school teachers or retired school teachers. Respect for teachers has not been what it used to be, at least when I was in grade school. You'd be amazed at some of the respect and some of the things they said to me. I feel it all has to do whether they're allowed to check out. Just as I mentioned, there needs to be restrictions on those books. Not banned, but just like movies and video games, there needs to be restrictions. Thank you.
A friend of mine asked me to talk to a missionary that he had been working with around, this is probably 2004, 2005. And so I sat down with the man, and I thought that he was going to ask me, for the type of support missionaries typically offer, I asked for. And he said that he'd built churches and he had shipped Bibles to countries around the world, and that he reached out to folks with his faith, for his entire life. And what he had discovered was that the thing that he needed to help to be able to get those folks' attention to really kind of reach the region where they're at was he needed help to build a well drilling rig so that he could take it to Africa and drill wells and free folks from having to give service to the man that controlled the water. He freed folks to grow their own food, to take care of their own basic needs, to engage in commerce, and to take care of the things that fed their children, that kept their roof over their head. And he said, and then once we do that, once we free them from servitude, slavery to someone that controls a basic need like water, then we'll get their attention about the Lord. You brought this connected. There's nobody talking to anybody. There's a problem where the planet, the infrastructure focus that we've had for so long is what we need to keep our focus.
Mason to go first, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Just because he said it was the library board. So you said that all that are not conservative enough.
Say probably at least the Appalachian Council would say that one. They would say just in my emergency services board. I feel like that one needs to be. Another one, I'll have to look into that. Those are the two I can think about right now. But if you leave me your name and number and contact information, I'll be happy to get back with you after the next meeting.
Let the rest of them go.
Yeah, if you'd like to address the board question, the rest of you have an opportunity to answer that.
If you allow.
It was going to be from my area. And the lady that's in that seat right now has never voted for me. She's been crystal clear about it. And she's been crystal clear because we have differences in political opinions, so she never voted for me. When I talked to her, she's one of the most upstanding, outstanding persons. For 20 years. And I think that we've developed some mutual respect for each other because I've supported her to make the decisions in that role. The way I work my business opportunity, I'm going to let them do that job. So if I ask you to volunteer for those jobs again, ever, and put pressure on me to make sure that I change, our community, as Clemson and Central grows, could get more and more purpose.
I believe we made a recommendation in banning books. The Services Board has done phenomenal work. Come up with a product. Do I think that people on boards? Do I think it's hard to find people to want to serve on boards? Absolutely, it's very difficult. One of the people that was appointed to excuse me, the third one. We looked at what boards and communication that was there. I'm gonna get choked. That are less conservative than another board. I can say that I don't always agree with the opinions of those boards, but they're in place and their positions are protected by state and county ordinance to ensure that it's not at a political whim that they're removed from those boards or commissions.
I don't know three boards. You mentioned ACOG. ACOG does the majority of their work on roads and work with the elderly. conservative issue. Because we're talking about, we're taking meals to senior citizens and offering them a quality of life. When it comes to Emergency Services Board, I mean, they're aggressive because they want a lot. I don't fault them for that. Of course, they're going to fight for what they believe is right for their department. I do believe that there is the library goes, when all this was brought to light, we took it very seriously, and we had 3 board appointments to make, and we made those 3 board appointments. So that to say we appointed them in January, to say by February they hadn't done their job yet, they hadn't even had the training yet. So they just had the training, and they started the work. Fair, but I think we have to be very careful. I think the state legislature set this up intentionally so that we appoint, we don't fire anybody from the board, we don't remove them. We want to do something now, we want to make it happen now. I think we're going in the right direction with all of those things.
Introduce yourself and answer your question.
Ask the 3 sitting, and why do you feel like you don't basically need to be replaced, basically?
So making sure I understand. Okay. Sure exactly what it is. I want you to vote for me because of the people that I represent, and because of my values, and your vision agrees with my vision for what we're trying to do in the future. To me, it's not about whether you're an incumbent or not. It's Senator Rice and Representative Hyder and Hayden sit here because I use them as the example. They work for a very to be a senior in it, not just because to say, oh, look at here I am I've been serving for a long time. I am still learning, and I've been doing this for 7 years. I'm not because of a title. I say this to these guys all the time. Here's my opinion of what I believe the constituents want us to do, but I can be persuaded.
So I would say as long as the current incumbents, they keep.
I think that the idea that across the board, every single person serving for a lot of the times you're the right person to appoint. You may be the right person to join the office. When I was on the school board, things were very chaotic. And it was a tough first 2 years. It was brutal, really. Sitting in the parking lot, talking myself into going in the building just to do the job that I was elected to do. It was very difficult. And we were lucky enough to see some folks replaced. And Miss Garrison, and Miss Bagley, and Shannon Haskett joined the board. And it was like a light went off on what we could accomplish. Needed to move on for their health, or for they needed to be replaced in an election, and filling problems. And we've worked together with lots and lots of people and built bridges with entities within government that have been broken for so long. And we've been collaborative, and we've delivered. And when I say delivered, we've delivered probably 20 years of progress for our county council in comparison to what had been done before us. And so, do we need to be replaced? I apologize. Job, and we have momentum to do that job. But when I was on the school board, and things pivoted so much, and I had gotten on the school board to drive STEM and technology education, and it was in every school, and then I wanted to fix McKissick, and we fixed McKissick. I started looking at the type of council person that they needed, or a trustee that they needed, and I was not the right person. That's a term limit. I knew I wasn't the right person, so I got off the board. And if I'd been contested and stayed there, it would have been just for ego. So I left when I knew that I wasn't the right person, and Carly Kelly and Amy Williams were clear on the board now on this council that represents the people in a very effective way, and I want to stay because I think we need to keep the momentum.
To be replaced. I would say that I strongly disagree with the statement. I think that if the evidence isn't there, then I would agree with it. But absolutely not. Recreation funding, it had been years since any of it had seen the light of day here, and the work is still being done. If I didn't feel like I had a purpose, time to get off. But as we sit here today, the evidence is very much there, the purpose is very much there.
All right. I just want to say,
whenever, so you go first. Whenever your time comes, what we do with now, you can use that time as you see fit. So if you want to hop on something, you're certainly welcome to do that. But next question. So I would say split. Answer the question a little bit and do that. Or close if you want.
The town, in the shops, restaurants, hotels, which we have limited of in the city of Pickens, Liberty. Everybody has to go in Liberty.
Tourism that it offers, things like that. Is that basically what your question was? I just want to be sure.
Sure. Where do you?
Distance runner, so I participate in a lot of these 5K races on the Deal Trail. So I would support it because I feel like a lot of these trails that are being built, that's from former railway systems. And I'd like to say, if those railway systems are not being able to afford that. Now, I will say one reason I don't feel like Central has really had a trail similar to Easley and Pickens. A lot of those railway systems are still in use. But yes, I do support that. I did also want to address what was mentioned just recently. So no offense to my opponents here, but I feel like at least the field needed to be replaced. They need to be replaced. So, and I feel like one reason I get out is I feel like current incumbents, they feel like they know what's best, and the constituents don't. I feel like not naming any names, but I feel like I've been talked down to all, but definitely some. Thank you.
Proximity and access for predominantly poor community for people to ride all the way to Easley to go. It's just not an option. A recent discussion because when we settled with MR, we ended up with Boggs Mountain over near Liberty, which some of you that grew up here know that's the place you took your. And I can see David smiling. So at the end of the day, I'm just assuming, David, I'm rock for it. Nobody's going to develop that. Together of folks to study it. Reach out to Clemson. What could we do? It might not be tomorrow. It's centrally located. It could be anything. It could be natural activities. It could be mountain biking. It could be horse riding. It could be a bingo program. And we're doing it. Look at Grant Overlook.
Especially. It is part of our economy. It is, to your point, the folks that go in and spend money. It is the small business. For these festivals that you talked about, we use ATAX funding for trails, for miles being fed, or peace. When I look at the Doodle Trail and the money that's been spent there, the first county dime spent on the Doodle Trail was in the east. Actually, it was in the Liberty District because that's where the Doodle Park is. It's right across the yellow line there. But it still benefited our district 100%. It was the 2 train cars, one of which is a bathroom that was paid for recreation funding. Vital part of the quality of life in our communities. So to answer your question, not only is it important, but the evidence.
For my families to do that are going to work here at these manufacturing facilities. 40 years, our entire life, and we want to be able to go out and do things. Opportunities where we can be, creative with the funding, whether it's rec funding and to put a playground up by the airport. I was just so proud of or the trails and the out at the stay out there. Now there's a part of that. The other thing is ATAX money is what helps with the heads and beds. And it's tough to get some of these hotels that want to come here. But to me, it's how all of that works together. So it's very important, an important piece as long as we're being frugal and getting return on investment on what we spend on that.
Anybody else? You want?
Go ahead.
Okay. Ladies first.
Hi, I'm Caitlin Harrington from the Post and Courier. I'm curious what specifically about your background, education, life makes you the most qualified candidate for your specific district.
In about 2002, I had the opportunity to speak. And there was 6 kids in the room that worked for me as co-op students at the place I worked at the time. And I had a chance to speak on anything, but office. And I just read a bio for him, so I got up in front of these hundreds of kids and I said, you know, your engineering education is important, your career path is going to be important. One of the most important, you learn technical skills are going to be unique in your area. You're going to time. I've seen a predominantly rural community with no STEM and technology. I'm not unique in my community. There's some wonderfully gifted folks out there, but I've stood up to do this for quite some time. I've built a basis of leadership, you know, as a professional. And I appreciate run against me, but Dale Holloway is a wonderful guy.
Obviously, like I said earlier, my background is in healthcare. More importantly, I live here in Easley, have lived here in Easley my entire adult life. I've been engaged in our county, and being able to do that thing, that collaboration piece, having those relationships, knowing who to reach out to, knowing that I don't have all the answers. I'm the most qualified candidate is the experience and the evidence in the community. It's just a larger network of people than even before. Those are the reasons I really feel like I am the most qualified.
Got my guiding country, Eagle Scout. Even when I went to Clemson University and I was trying to join a fraternity, I joined the National Service Fraternity, Alpha Phi Omega. So I've always had kind of that servant heart. Been an associate pastor, youth pastor. Now I do I'm not even, we'll call it minister of music. I'm praise team leader. How about that? At our church. But I think it's important that you elect somebody that has at least been in some of these organizations, like in a servant capacity. So Ronald McDonald House in the Carolinas, I got involved with them early on when I remember my dad, before he passed away, he said, "Bloom where you're planted." So I did. I thought, well, what are the things I can get involved with? And Ronald McDonald House in the Carolinas is one of those things. The other is working with the National MS Society, and the important work that they do. I'm currently the state representative for the Wounded Warrior Program, the government liaison on that. I served on Crime Stoppers. I mentioned before, I'm the president of the South Carolina Association of Counties. I have served on Appalachian Council of Governments. I still do. Served there. I've served with Senator Rice on GPATS, with Rick and Rose there. I also served as on the executive committee for Upstate Alliance, which has to do with economic development. My real job that I get paid for, I wrote the sales enablement process for Spectrum Reach. So I'm blessed that I work with a company that affords me the ability to take the time to do the service with these organizations as a representative of District 4.
So mine's probably not going to be 2 minutes. What I'd like to say is potential most certainly outweighs experience. You saw with Donald Trump, I mean, Hillary Clinton had all these high-level degrees and was in politics for a while. And Trump's a businessman, and he won. And he probably did more things in one term than one president did than anyone has done in 2. So I don't think you need to look about how long someone's been on a board or how long they've been in office or what their degree is. Potential outweighs experience. And I will say that I do have experience. I've been involved in local politics about 4 years. I've been a state delegate to the past 2 conventions and also a delegate to the district convention. But when you go out here to vote, please do not look at experience. Look at what the person's going to do for you. Look after what someone's going to see if they're going to look after your best interests at heart, and they're going to do what's right. Always experience. Thank you.
I thank y'all for all stepping up. Davey and I definitely know, and Betty, what you go through, we appreciate it. I know campaign is not a lot. Take a picture of what it looked like 43 years. And I'm Pickens County. Give me 4 or 5 or 3 or 4 items that would be. Does that make sense to you? You understand what I'm saying?
Whether it be Table Rock, whether it be our lakes or streams, but my picture is the picture that I want, the reason that I ran. What's so important to me is it's a place that we're proud of and a place that our children or my child is proud of to call home.
So in that family, of course, and I can't imagine that mom that was pregnant for 20 is like things grew up. I mean, I got in trouble if I didn't ask to leave the table after I was through. I got in trouble if we didn't say the blessing before food. It's those values that I hope that we can get back to. You've got all these people that are moving here. They're moving here because they're attracted to the things that they see that are going on. I hope in 43 years that those things still exist for my family, and that we see more people that are doing that, and we see churches working together, changing behaviors, because that's what's going to help with the 65% poverty rate that we have in the county. That's what's going to help with being the highest suicide rate. That's what's going to help with the kids who aren't graduating or the teen pregnancies that are happening. Is how do we start coming together as a family of people who love to live in Pickens County because of the culture, because of the heritage. But for me, it is all about how do we get back to that family values.
So I definitely agree with Mr. Coster, and if not, keep wanting to grow up. So religious values is something that's really important to me. And also hope that people will still love their country here in 43 years from now. There's people my age that complain about this country and say that this is the problem. That upsets me because I definitely feel like a social outcast in my generation. So it's just amazing to some people in my generation that just complain about how bad our country is. So definitely want to make sure that we do have patriotism and have love of our country. Continue to have. And that's the reason why people come here on the weekends and to go on the nature trails and do all that and potentially live here. That's why they prefer to live here than other places in the upstate. And also, I would like to see us be more unified in 43 years. I feel like just in our county, I know nationwide we're divided. I feel like in our county we're divided. I feel like it's over small stuff. I feel like it doesn't need to be fought upon. So that's really what I hope in the next 43 years, honestly, really in the next year, that we do have some kind of unification come about. Thank you.
My wife's entire family, including me, we all live in the same farm. Keep that type of traditional lifestyle from our own personal family. And what I want is for those folks to be able to live there in 50 years and to be looking back at my service here as a pivotal point in the community where, I'm the chairman of our infrastructure committee, and where we made a big swinging change towards preparing for their future by doing things like we did at the landfill, investing so we could keep the landfill open for 50 to 60 more years. Right? That the landfill was going to be closed. We were going to be spending an extra $1 or $2 million. An important decision to keep that landfill open and to invest in the equipment. We made the small but important decision to take care of our roads. We're already having a dialogue about our water treatment facilities so that we have even clean water in the future. We're setting those goals, but we're also doing those things which are critically important. We're drilling that well. So I want those folks to not only have the types of things that are critical for life, which are the infrastructure there, but also the things that are critical, natural resources and the connections we have in our own shared history here. And then again, on my farm, I want agriculture to continue to be an important part of our community. My daughter has an ag business. I want that to thrive. I want you to come out to our farm and see how people live and where their food comes from, and for your kids to get their hands dirty. And I want to position my family to be able to do that. So the economic conditions in our community needs to support that. So, you talk about living traditional values, look out the window and everybody's a family within a mile of you. That's traditional values, and I want to continue that because there are other folks that just like our family does. And I want to point out that I had a jiu-jitsu brown belt walk door to door with Rex one time. And I told him that I would pay the kid to be there if he got all his doors in, and I think Rex got me back tonight for doing that to him.
So thank you, gentlemen, for your time tonight. We're getting close on time, so I'm going to offer the platform to you for your closing statements. We'll have 2 minutes closing remarks for you. You'll actually go first on this one. I know. I'm just doing here. But before we do that, I do want to thank all of you for coming here tonight. You could have been anywhere else, but you came here to hear these gentlemen. And I want to give a special thank you to each of these gentlemen. We have 3 gentlemen that are serving currently. Mason, who is in this position as well. So the fact that they offer themselves for this position is very, very honorable. And I'm a little bit jealous of Nick's jacket, I will say. He did leave me. Charlotte and gentlemen. So thank you all again for being here tonight. So I'll give you guys the floor and allow us to close.
Okay, so I got to say this. A couple of you guys mentioned this. It's hard to sit up here and look at you guys and take the questions. It's a hard job to do this because it takes an exorbitant amount of time. I'm just blessed to be able to do that. I think that everyone has an opportunity to lead. And leadership is different than management. Management is a whole different kind of ballgame. Leadership is not telling people what to do. Leadership's integrity. Leadership is faith. It's casting a vision. It's self-awareness. It's remaining humble. Staying true to your foundation. Not losing your moral compass. But it's also listening, finding common ground like Jesus did with the woman in the well, offering grace, and then being able to persuade others to believe in your truths. To me, it is truly an honor to be able to serve. It's not about, it's funny, people think that folks on county council have so much power. We don't. I don't have any power at all. The only power I have is that every now and then I can call Senator Rice and he'll answer the phone. Or Representative Hyatt. I don't have any power about myself. Collectively, we do. It's interesting also to me that we don't agree on a lot, but we do find our common grounds, and we're able to persuade each other to some sort of truth that is in the best interest of the county. I hope that you will give me your support. If you're not my district, I hope that you'll at least be an advocate. I am very thankful to Clay, to all of you guys, to Mr. Tate. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and speak with you guys. So that's all I have to say.
So, it's definitely and also a mother who's sitting in the middle right there for coming out tonight. It's just incredible all the support I've had along this journey. It's been draining, with working with wild kids all day and then going out and knocking a few doors. It takes the energy out of you. But like a lot of us can agree tonight, this is true too, and I've got into this business, not everyone's going to like you. It's hard to please everybody. But I feel like as long as you do what's right, look out for the best interest, at least do about 90% of the time. Just make sure you're doing what's right. And I feel like you're most qualified for the position. So again, I thank you all for coming out tonight. And phone number, I can give it to you tonight, or if you want to go on my website, masonsims.com, you can find my personal email, my link to my Facebook page, and phone number, things like that. See, I know it's been a long night, but again, if you want to stick around and chat with things, feel free. Thank you for all for coming out tonight.
This has been a wonderful opportunity to get for you guys and answer lots of good questions. I appreciate the fact that they're off the cuff. You guys are getting your questions answered. For my own purpose, this is a grueling process, like they're talking about. It's difficult, and your life has to keep going on. And where I would contrast with Mason is when I hire employees to do a job, I look at their experience, because experience is everything. It's the value you bring to the table, the skill you bring to the table. And I have a lifetime of service. I started out in the Navy, and I served 2 tours. I did my deployments, and I came home. And I told you when I came home, I the strongest manufacturing and technology hubs in the world from the skill set perspective, the best people for those jobs. And the entire time that I've worked here and lived here, I have helped try to build the community and build our economy and build the folks in our community by investing in children and investing in the future of the community. And I think that I have a track record that's proven in that. And I think that leadership is say and do. And just like when I ran in 2020, and I said I would do it's been ignored and dangerous road for 30 years. And I've done everything that it would take to get that done with no excuses. So, say do is important. I've made a number of other promises as well, right? The things that I would structure and growth. And so, when you're looking at who you're going to vote for, just like when you're looking at who you're going to hire, do you have a person that's qualified that has a track record and lived up to them. And there's no one that can be critical of me in that regard, because I have lived up to what I promised I would do, and I'll continue to do that. And I'm asking for folks to vote. And if they're looking, to figure out who it is, this is the signs that are on the side of the road. I'm running for the county council. You go to henrywilsonsc.com if you want more information. And I'd love for you to call me, 864-643-8352. Completely available, folks. Very transparent with regards to what I'm doing. And I'll tell you this, we'll have more successes if you re-elect me.
Henry, that's a tough act to follow, man. It's all good stuff. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I know you have other things you could be doing. It's been a long day for everybody. Thank you for caring enough to come out. That is the most important part. We have to have an engaged community in order to have an engaged government, and you are the piece to that. So thank you for being here. 7 years ago, the story in our county was a lot different. Our municipalities did not work with our county. Our county did not work with our school board. Our county did not work with our delegation, and we were on an island. We wanted to pretend like we were on an island by ourselves. That was the picture 7 years ago. There was no plan for growth, and growth is the most important topic because there was no plan for growth 7 years ago. There's been a lot of great work on that front, and that work is important, and it's not done. Continuing that work is very dire to me. That collaboration piece was not there. That collaboration piece is very much there now. I've never seen our government work as efficiently and together as it currently is, to the point, Senator Rice and they've done and vice versa, to support the tools and the resources they need, just like they have been. That is what makes efficient government. That work is not.